My family used to laugh at me when I waited tables. I just kept quiet. Now, I own the Winterford and Lakewood Haven, and my sister owes me $57,000 by court order. You're just a dishwasher, my sister sneered. I sent 3 staff, trashed $15,000 worth of furniture, and revealed I own the $4.2 million resort she works at. Hey everyone, I'm Noah, and I'm 30 years old. I own the Winterford, a high-end restaurant in downtown Chicago, serving a 12-course tasting menu for $300 per person to only 50 guests nightly. I also own Lakewood Haven, a beautiful boutique resort near Chicago. Nestled in lush woodlands with views of Lake Michigan, Lakewood Haven offers 25 private villas for guests seeking luxury and seclusion. I'm living my best life now, free from the stress of toxic family calls. My story starts just before a restraining order was placed against my parents and sister. I was enjoying a quiet weekend at home when my dad called. His name on my phone shocked me. He rarely calls. Even though I live less than 30 minutes away, I've only seen my family about 3 times in the last few years for their birthdays and Christmas dinner. Get home. I need you now. He screamed, his voice strained and furious. I hesitated, then asked, "Is something wrong?" Snapped, "Yes," and hung up. The dial tone left me frustrated and anxious. Honestly, I didn't want to go. My parents always saw me as a disappointment, never measuring up to my perfect sister, Aubrey. But his urgent tone made me think something terrible had happened. Without much thought, I grabbed my coat, got in my car, and drove to their house, wondering what was so important. I drove those familiar roads, unaware I was about to become my family's latest joke. Minutes later, I arrived. The gate was lined with cars from old sedans to SUVs. I immediately assumed they were having a party. I found a parking spot and walked into the yard, surprised to see so many relatives. It was an outdoor celebration with neatly arranged tables and chairs, and a large banner read, "Happy birthday, Aubrey." That's when it hit me. It was Aubrey's birthday party. Everything laid out before me was a shock. A few family members greeted me, including Uncle Frank, my dad's younger brother, a bald man with calculating eyes. When he saw me, he rushed over with a spiteful sneer. "Just got here? Have they promoted you to head of the dishwashing team yet?" Some relatives nearby laughed, insulting and sneering. Tyler, Frank's 25-year-old son, yelled, "Nah, Noah's gotta be the director of dishwashing." I said nothing. My throat tightened and I stood there, mortified by their remarks. Frank and his son had fueled years of family conflict. As I approached the house, looking for my dad, he came out with my mom and Aubrey. When he saw me, he didn't ask how I was. Instead, he turned to the relatives and said, "We've got someone to clean up. Let's go." I stood there, stunned. That one sentence made everything clear. The urgent call, the command to come home, wasn't about needing help. It was about using me. Before I could say anything, he walked up to me, his tone cold and commanding. "Clean this place up before we get back."
All right.
My heart pounded, and anger flared inside me. My voice trembled as I asked, "What the hell are you talking about?" He looked at me with icy eyes. "Isn't cleaning up after a party and making everything spotless your job now?" Right after that, Aubrey, with a smug, arrogant look, pulled out. $200 handed it to me and said with disdain, "Clean it all up. That's your pay. If you do a good job, I'll tip you." Hearing them and watching her hand me money like I was a stranger, I knew the whole event was a setup to humiliate me. They'd planned this long before I showed up. I swallowed hard, holding it together as my mind reeled from the betrayal. Uncle Frank, never missing a chance to pile on, chimed in sarcastically, $200 is too much. Don't mess it up, Noah." That was it. I snapped. I turned to Frank and yelled, "Shut up, Frank." My father immediately boomed, "That's enough, Noah. He's your uncle. Don't you dare talk to him like that." The crowd went silent. The laughter stopped. Some people shook their heads. Others whispered. I could feel their judgment. Some sympathetic, some scornful. Shattered by their rudeness, I appealed to my mom, hoping she'd defend me. I clung to that last bit of hope. "Mom, say something." But she joined their side. She looked at me, disappointed, and said, "This is what you get for going against us." Her words hit me like a punch to the chest. I felt frozen, as if standing at a crossroads with nowhere to go. Then she turned and walked away, followed by the other relatives heading to a local pub to continue Aubrey's celebration. That's when I truly understood loneliness. After they left, I sat on the front steps, staring at the pile of dishes. Their nasty comments echoed in my head, reminding me of their most offensive accusations. A year after I'd quit my $70,000 a year tech engineering job, I had about 3,000 bitcoins. My passion for technology began at 16 when I learned about Bitcoin and bought some with money saved from a bakery job. They were dirt cheap then, just a few bucks each. By college, Bitcoin had soared to $1,000 per coin. Financial investors called it a craze. Technologists, the next global currency. With my tech skills, a few friends and I started mining it ourselves, and it paid off. We didn't need student loans for 4 years of college. Bitcoin mining covered our living expenses. When Bitcoin hit $11,000, I sold 1,000 coins. With over $11 million, I took a different path. Despite my tech degree, I didn't start a tech company. Instead, I planned to create a high-end restaurant. That decision marked a turning point. As my family ties frayed, I took a risk, deciding to get real-world experience running a restaurant. I applied to work as a server at a high-end Chicago restaurant, wanting to learn everything from the ground up. I didn't tell my family I was quitting my job or that I had $11 million. I waited tables every day, taking orders, clearing tables, and cleaning up. The first month went well, but the second, my family found out. That day, my father, Richard, Mother Elaine, Uncle Frank, and other relatives gathered at the restaurant. For Uncle Frank's birthday, I recognized them as they walked in, and they spotted me. The look they gave me made my stomach drop. My hands shook and my heart pounded so hard, I thought it would burst. They approached me, and Uncle Frank was first to speak. He turned to my father, mocking. "Richard, didn't you say Noah was working as a tech engineer making $70,000 a year? Why is he busting tables here?" My father didn't answer immediately. He just stared at me, angry and disappointed. My mother looked away, refusing to meet my gaze. A few seconds later, my father spoke, cold and sharp. "Eight, come home tonight. We need to talk." They all left the restaurant without another word, without even looking back. That afternoon, I couldn't focus. I already knew what was coming. My father's rage met me when I walked through the door. That night, after my shift, I saw him as he'd requested. When I entered the familiar living room, they were all there. Dad sat like a judge in his usual chair. Mom sat beside him, looking sad, and Aubrey leaned against the wall, arms folded. The instant I walked in, Dad erupted. He sprang up, face red with fury, pointed at me and yelled, "You are a disgrace to this family. You humiliated me in front of our relatives?" I tried to explain, my voice cracking. "Dad, it's not what you think. I have a plan." But he cut me off with more rage. "What plan? You quit a $70,000 engineering job to wait tables? Do you have any idea how ashamed I felt?" Then Mom chimed in, her voice filled with disappointment. "Why would you do this? What did we teach you to stoop so low?" I couldn't take their insults anymore. I stood up and exclaimed, "I'm opening a restaurant." The room went silent. A few seconds later, Dad burst out laughing, harsh and sarcastic. He sneered, "What? You expect me to believe that?" That's when Aubrey spoke up, her tone haughty and superior. "Do you even know how much it costs to open a restaurant?" "Stop dreaming." Mom nodded in agreement, sighing heavily. "Son, stop fooling yourself. Be realistic." Looking directly at Aubrey's arrogant face, I shouted loudly and clearly, "I have $11 million? Is that enough?" When Aubrey heard $11 million, she burst out laughing as if I'd told the funniest joke. She continued, "If you had $11 million, you wouldn't be wiping tables for a living." Their mocking laughter filled the room. I wanted to pull out my phone and show them my account to prove I wasn't lying. My hand had already unlocked the screen. But then my father spoke, and his words shattered me. He stared at me with icy eyes and said, "I can't believe you've added lying to your list of failures." Hearing him call me a liar felt like a knife through my chest. Looking around, I saw skepticism on their faces, sneers, and judgment. I stepped up and stayed cool. I said goodbye and walked out the door. That's why I only went home 3 times a year. Each visit, I'd gently place my gift on the coffee table and leave without saying anything. I never told them what I'd accomplished. And honestly, I'm glad I kept it that way all these years. Let's return to Aubrey's birthday party. After sitting there for a while, lost in memories of everything that had happened over the years, I was ready to get up, leave, and never return. But then Aubrey's words echoed in my mind. "Make sure it's spotless. That's your pay. If you do a good job, I'll tip you." That sentence sparked an interesting thought. She told me to clean everything, which I did literally. In that moment, a twisted smile appeared on my face. It was time for Aubrey to learn to be careful with her words. I grabbed my phone and immediately called Jared, my general manager. Calmly, I said, "Jared, I need 3 staff members at this address right away. We've got an urgent job." 30 minutes later, 3 of my restaurant employees arrived. In uniform and fully stocked with professional cleaning supplies, I told them to gather every dish, bowl, knife, and fork from the party and put them in large garbage bags. Yes. Then we emptied it all into the outdoor garbage cans. But we weren't finished. Every stained tablecloth was also thrown away. And my father's oakwood tables and chairs, she'd collected for years and cherished. I had the workers spray them off with water and scrub them well with soap. It's just like we do with our stainless steel prep tables at the restaurant. Then they went into the kitchen. The microwave was thoroughly cleaned inside and out, and the electric stove was soaked, disassembled, and scrubbed until it shined. I even had them wipe out all the kitchen cabinets and corners. We cleaned everything exactly, as Aubrey had requested, in less than an hour. And as I stared at the pristine aftermath, I felt an odd sense of contentment. All I could think about was her promised tip and the surprised look I expected on my parents' faces when they walked through the door. After helping me with the cleanup, the 3 employees returned to the restaurant and started their normal shifts. As for me, I entered the living room, turned on the television, and waited for them to come home. I heard a car engine outside, quickly sprang up, and went to the front door to greet them. I couldn't keep the eager smile from my face as they saw the freshly cleaned place. Frank spoke up again with the same dismissive tone. "Oh, well, that Director of Sanitation delivers again. Quick, thorough, and sparkling clean." I let out a real laugh this time. Then I strolled up to Aubrey and said in a tone as joyful as a child proudly finishing a chore, "Everything's spotless, just the way you asked. So where's my tip?" Made sure to emphasize the word spotless. Some of the family chuckled mockingly. At my remark, someone jokingly suggested Aubrey give me an extra $10. Others said $20. Uncle Don even said that kind of job deserved at least $200. Caught up in the performance, Aubrey smugly took out another $200 and offered it to me with a fake lovely grin. "Nice work," she murmured with a sugary tone. Holding those 2 crisp $100 bills in my hands, I felt a peculiar sense of accomplishment. But the moment didn't last long. My father suddenly went over to the area where the tables were set up. When he saw what had happened, he cried in horror. "What did you do to my oak table?" His face was twisted with wrath. I said innocently, "Just washed it with water and soap, to get it nice and clean." His eyes flared with wrath. "She soaked an oak table? What? Do you have any idea what that wood is? That's solid oak." Not even 30 seconds later, my mother emerged from the kitchen, her hair unkempt, her voice harsh and frantic. "What did you do to my microwave and electric stove?" Without flinching, I simply responded, "Soaked and scrubbed them. It's the only way to get them clean." She looked at me as if I'd lost my mind. Then, frightened, she exclaimed, "Where are the dishes? The tablecloths?" I didn't make her wait. I proudly pointed to the garbage cans out front and said, "All taken care of, just like Aubrey asked. Everything's spotless." My mother let out a near scream and bolted outdoors. Moments later, I heard her exclaim, "Oh my God, my fine china. My dishes, they're all broken." She stormed back into the house, face crimson, eyes burning, and yelled at me, "You're paying for all of it." At that, I gave a slow, profound smile. Then I went to Aubrey and stated calmly, "You pay?" "I did exactly." "What?" you asked. Aubrey looked like she was going to explode. Her face turned pale, and she hissed between gritted teeth. "I never told you to do that," I calmly said. "Check the cameras. Told me to clean everything." Aubrey stammered and pointed a trembling finger at me. You did this on purpose." I honestly felt victorious after seeing the wrath on their faces. I was enjoying every second of it. But I had no idea, and neither did anyone else, that a stranger had just arrived, and that stranger was about to reveal who I was, just as I was enjoying the peaceful satisfaction of teaching them a lesson. A sleek black Mercedes-Benz S-Class arrived in front of our house. The smooth hum of the engine and the car's elegant presence immediately caught everyone's attention. All eyes turned to it. Aubrey hurriedly straightened her hair, smoothed her blouse, and proudly declared, "That's my boss. He's here to drop off my birthday gift. He couldn't make it earlier today." As she flaunted the link, the audience applauded. Frank nodded approvingly and exclaimed, "Her boss has real class." My mother muttered, "With a car like that, he must be someone important." Everyone drew closer, craning their necks with interest. Less than a minute later, the car door opened, and the man who stepped out surprised me for a second. It was Benjamin. Cole, the human resources manager of the resort I had purchased. He was 45, had salt and pepper hair, and was usually impeccably dressed in tailored clothes. I'd recently met with him briefly to discuss restructuring plans. That's when I realized Aubrey worked at my resort. When she saw him get out of the car, she came forward, grinning, and politely extended her hand. "Mr. Benjamin, I'm so glad you could make it to my party." But Benjamin completely ignored her outstretched hand. He strode past her quickly, purposefully, his gaze fixed exclusively on me. Everyone followed him, confused, trying to figure out what was going on. Benjamin came to a stop in front of me and respectfully extended his hand. "Good afternoon, Mr. Noah," he announced. I shook his hand and calmly said, "Good to see you, Benjamin. I didn't expect you to be here." "Still gazing around?" Benjamin inquired. "Are you also attending Miss Aubrey's party?" The entire family froze at that question. Aubrey, my parents, and every relative present appeared astonished. They didn't understand what was going on or why Aubrey's employer was speaking to me so respectfully. "Hey." My father furrowed his brow and mumbled, "Why does he know Noah?" My mother simply stared, jaw open. Frank looked at me, perplexed, and murmured, "Something's not right." Here, Aubrey soon stepped in to clarify things. "Mr. Benjamin, this is my younger brother. He's just—" But Benjamin lifted his hand, interrupting her mid-sentence, which rattled her. After a few seconds of stillness, I replied to Benjamin. In a nonchalant manner, Aubrey asked me to come clean up after the party. Benjamin's face contorted with disbelief. "You're serious?" he questioned, nearly yelling. He looked around the yard, then back at me, completely shocked. He couldn't believe that his employer, who now owned Lakewood Haven, had been summoned to pick up rubbish. I grinned and answered, "I'm not joking. She even paid me $200 and tipped me another $200. Look." I brought out for $100 bills for him to see. Benjamin stared at the money, stunned before sighing. A few seconds later, he turned to Aubrey with a strong and demanding tone. "Oh, do you even know who this is?" Aubrey's eyes widened. She gently shook her head, stammering, I don't understand what you mean." Benjamin looked her in the eyes and added, "He's the new owner of Lakewood Haven, the place where you and I both work." Aubrey's face lost all color. She struggled through her words. No way. He's just a server." Meanwhile, my father stood transfixed, eyes wide. My mother covered her mouth, unable to speak. Frank backed up a few steps, his face flushed scarlet from all the insulting things he'd said to me earlier. Tyler stood alongside him, pale and motionless, avoiding my stare. The relatives began whispering among themselves. Did he say owner? That can't be right. Noah? Really? There's no way? This has to be a mistake. To avoid dragging things out, I turned to Benjamin and said, I'll see you tomorrow at the office. Benjamin nodded respectfully. Yes, Mr. Noah, I'll be there on time. I turned and walked quietly towards the gate. Before leaving, I looked back and said, almost forgot. I'm also the owner of the Winterford, the fine dining restaurant downtown. Then I walked straight to my car, started it, and drove away. In the rearview mirror, I noticed them still standing there, motionless as statues, with no words emanating from any of them. Benjamin walked back to his car, shaking his head. And honestly, after Benjamin disclosed the truth, I felt a deep, exquisite sensation of satisfaction for which I had waited years. I blasted music over the speakers the entire way home from my folks' house. I would occasionally nod to the beat and even sing along. I had an overpowering sense of freedom and satisfaction. Before driving home, I stopped by the restaurant too. See the 3 employees who had assisted me in cleaning up the party earlier that day. I took out $400 cash and handed it to them. They looked at me, apparently surprised. I grinned and said, "Tip from the host." My restaurant manager, Jared, gave me a perplexed look and quietly inquired, "Boss, what happened back there?" I shrugged and responded, "Just a memorable day, that's all." Then I left them behind, still discussing the unexpected bonus. That night, my phone wouldn't stop vibrating. It sounded like an alarm. My father's number came first, followed by my mother's, and then Aubrey's. After over 10 missed calls, the texts began to stream in. I skimmed through them. Father wrote, "I'm sorry for misunderstanding you, son." Madame's message was sugary sweet. "My dear boy, come home for dinner tomorrow. I'll cook all your favorite dishes." And Aubrey's read, "I'm so proud of you, little brother. I always knew you were special. Can we talk?" Then followed the messages from relatives. There were plenty of them, apologies, regret, and excuses. Most of them apologized for how they handled me and how they misunderstood. But I just grinned to myself because deep down, I knew those apologies were not real. They were reactions to money. They saw my money and decided I was worth keeping close to. That night, I shut off the phone and went to bed early. For the first time in years, after all the rejection, judgment, and contempt, I slept soundly. Benjamin arrived at my Lakewood Haven office the next morning exactly as promised. He approached with a more serious demeanor than normal, holding a hefty folder under his arm. We sat across from each other at the enormous oak desk, and he started his report with a detailed overview of the resort's operations and the expected business prognosis for the coming week. The meeting lasted almost an hour. As I began to stand, Benjamin hesitated before asking, "Should we let Aubrey go?" The question astonished me. I had not expected Benjamin to believe I would carry personal grudges into a business setting. After some deliberation, I replied with a smile, "You've got me wrong. I'm not petty enough to drag personal matters into business. If Aubrey's doing her job well, let her stay. If she's underperforming, follow protocol, and let her go like anyone else." Benjamin seemed taken aback at first. Then he nodded slowly, his eyes reflecting a deeper feeling of respect. "I understand," he replied. After a nice goodbye, he departed the office to resume his work. I sat for a long time, gazing out the window at the great expanse of Lake Michigan. A sensation of calm settled over me. I knew I had made the proper decision. One of my guiding beliefs is to never let personal grudges interfere with business decisions. If Aubrey performs well, she will be given equal opportunity and accolades as everyone else. If not, she will suffer the same repercussions. That's how things should be. I honestly expected Aubrey to be more grounded after everything. That had transpired. But I was mistaken. Her attitude changed the instant she learned I owned the resort where she worked. She started strutting around like she owned the place, telling everyone she was my sister. She used my name as leverage, intimidated subordinate employees, and broke boundaries that no professional should. According to Benjamin's allegations, she routinely arrived late, left early, and treated her coworkers with open disdain. When Benjamin attempted to hold her accountable, she did not simply ignore him. She threatened him. She threatened to dismiss him if he attempted to discipline her. So Benjamin followed protocol and terminated her as per my set policy. After being fired, she came to my office crying, pleading for another chance. Unfortunately, it was too late. I'd made my decision, and I wasn't going back. Unsurprisingly, my folks supported her. They started calling me nonstop. And when I didn't answer, they arrived at the resort, Aubrey in tow. The meeting in my office was heated from the time they entered. My father walked in sternly, saying, "You can't fire Aubrey." My mother quickly followed, her tone begging, "She's your sister. Family helps each other." Aubrey sat next to them, attempting to look sorry, her voice quivering. "I know I messed up. I'll change. Just give me one more chance," but I didn't move. I looked them all in the eyes and stated firmly, "The decision has been made. I will not change it." That's when my father's tone became stern, almost dictatorial. "This is unacceptable. You should make Aubrey the CFO. It fits her qualifications." My mother nodded and said, "Or at least give her some shares in the business. We're family, after all." I couldn't take another second of it. I stood up, my voice calm and firm. "This is a business decision, not a family matter. I'm not doing it." I then told them to leave my office or I'd have security take them out. Before walking out, my father turned around, gazed at me coldly and said, "You wouldn't be where you are today without us." He then walked out without looking back. My mother and Aubrey followed silently behind, leaving me alone in the room. His statements triggered old memories of partiality and being second to Aubrey under the same roof. And now I know one thing for sure. No one can go into my life and tug the strings anymore. After everything that has happened, it is evident that cutting ties with them is not only inevitable, but also imperative. After they left, the real storm started in my life. Aubrey shared a 15-minute video in a public Facebook group called Family Drama Stories, which has over 50,000 members and is known for revealing nasty family conflicts. And in that video, she addressed me by name with crimson weeping eyes and a shaky voice. She portrayed me as an ungrateful monster. She stated that I had become wealthy and then heartlessly dismissed my sister from the company. She claimed I had abandoned our aging parents and turned my back on my family, but she did not stop there. She outright lied about my enterprises. In the clip, she stated, "The Winterford serves old, low-quality food in Lakewood Haven. It scams customers with fake amenities. I used to work there. I know the truth." The comment section exploded. People who knew nothing about me or the facts swamped the post with hatred. "Brothers like this don't deserve money. Boycott his restaurant and resort. Ungrateful people. Shouldn't succeed." Within an hour, 25% of the Winterford and Lakewood Haven reservations were canceled, costing tens of thousands of dollars in direct losses. My restaurant manager, Jared, couldn't keep up with the constant phone calls from guests who were canceling. I sat in my office watching the devastation develop, reading every false allegation, furious comment, and lost customer. And in that moment, I made a pledge to myself. This time, I will not turn the other cheek. This time, Aubrey will discover exactly what happens when you attempt to burn down what I've built. After getting the preliminary damage report from the business team, I immediately contacted Logan Price, my legal agent. He arrived in my office later that morning. Logan, 38, is a seasoned attorney with over 15 years of expertise in civil litigation and defamation. He entered carrying a slick black leather briefcase, his demeanor serious and concentrated. We sat across from one another in the meeting room. I explained everything to him, including the complete background, the video Aubrey had posted, screenshots of the abusive comments, and a detailed assessment of the financial losses. Once all of the files were in order, I gave Logan full power to prosecute the case in court. He nodded firmly and continued, "This is a textbook example of defamation and business reputation damage. We have more than enough to win." Logan collaborated with the police that afternoon, filing a civil action in county court. He also asked for an emergency injunction to require Aubrey to remove the video and stop all defamatory activities immediately. Logan emailed me later that day to confirm that everything was in order. His message stated, "The suit has been filed and the court will process it within 48 hours. I sensed a shift inside me as I read the email. At that time, I realized I no longer had a father, mother, or sister. After Logan left, I phoned our technical team. I told them to get the security camera tape from the day my parents and Aubrey stormed into my office, demanding special treatment. The tape clearly captured the entire meeting, including their entitled conduct. Aubrey's manipulative tears, my father's demands, and the moment I said no. The edited clip, complete with subtitles and sharp production, was turned over to the media department. They shared it on all major social media sites with the title, "The Truth Behind the Noah Family Scandal: What the Security Cameras Reveal." Within an hour, the film had circulated like wildfire across internet communities. I spent an additional $10,000 on sponsored placements in major online news publications to reinforce the message. Each post contained official clarification and stated unequivocally that legal action was being taken and financial damages would be sought. And as we expected, public opinion divided. One side stood behind me, claiming Aubrey had crossed a line. The other held to her narrative. However, I was not silent for the first time in a long time. When the court officially accepted the case, my phone rang nonstop all morning. It was my parents and Aubrey. I didn't respond. Instead, I disabled all contact forms, including phone numbers, emails, and social media accounts. I also gave the front offices at both the restaurant and the resort specific instructions. Do not allow any member of my family under any circumstances. Logan sent me a Facebook link and a brief message that evening. "Watch her latest video. Looks like they're panicking." I clicked the link. Aubrey had just posted an 8-minute video. She sat in her bedroom, her eyes swollen, her hair tangled, and her voice cracking as she stated, "I want to apologize to the public, especially to my brother Noah. I lied about him." In the video, she admits to fabricating stories about the restaurant and resort's quality. She stated that none of her claims were accurate. She begged forgiveness from the online community and above all from me. But as I watched her, I realized exactly what had happened. She had consulted with a lawyer, and after recognizing the legal repercussions, her counsel most likely urged her to offer a public apology to lessen potential penalties. Unfortunately, it arrived far too late. I had already made a decision. The harm had been done, and no apology, no matter how heartfelt or public, could reverse the financial losses or character assassination. After the video ended, I responded to Logan's message with a simple command: proceed as planned. No settlements. Aubrey may have thought the situation was over when she submitted her apology. But for me, that was just the beginning. What happened next would impact not only her life, but everything. The civil trial took place at the Cook County Courthouse. I sat alone on the plaintiff's bench that day, dressed in a beautiful blue suit. Across the courtroom stood the defendants, Aubrey, my parents, and a few relatives. They would occasionally look at me with concerned looks and whisper. Aubrey appeared depleted, with a pale complexion and puffy eyes. My parents kept their heads down and avoided eye contact. Uncle Frank and a few others shook their heads repeatedly as if to persuade Aubrey to change her mind. Logan presented our case beautifully after nearly 3 hours of courtroom arguments, which were supported by irrefutable evidence of Aubrey's injury. We won decisively. The judge, a stern-looking guy in his 60s with silver hair, pronounced the verdict firmly. Aubrey Miller is ordered to pay restitution of $42,000 for direct losses caused by canceled services. This figure is based on verified days, records of canceled bookings from her defamatory video. Additionally, she will pay $15,000 for reputational damage due to false statements. Ms. Miller will also cover legal fees and court costs for both parties. She has 60 days to comply with this ruling. Aubrey practically fainted at the news. Uncle Frank and another relative had to help her leave the courtroom. My mother appeared hollow, wobbling as if she had no sense of direction. My father sat with his head in his hands, speechless. As I was leaving, a few relatives stopped me in the hall. Aunt Marilyn, my mother's younger sister, approached me and pleaded, "Noah, that amount is too much. Aubrey doesn't have that kind of money. Uncle Don nodded in agreement, adding, "Yeah, $57,000 plus attorney fees. That's close to 70 grand. She can't pay that." I responded coldly, "Then all of you can chip in and pay for it for her. Weren't you cheering her on when she posted that?" Video. Silence. They walked away one by one, not a single word more. My parents arrived next, followed by Aubrey. Aubrey cried, eyes filled with sorrow. "Little brother, I know I messed up. Please, don't make me pay. I don't have the money." My mother jumped in, her voice cracking. "We're family. Aubrey's your sister. You can't be this cruel." When I heard the word family, I turned around, my cheeks blazing with everything I had been holding in for years. I screamed, "Shut up, Mom! What kind of family tries to destroy their own son's career?" And with that, I turned and walked away, leaving them in complete quiet. That was the moment our blood links were severed forever. I am experiencing the most tranquil and meaningful days of my life. Every morning I wake up in a quiet house, drink my coffee, and admire the scenery from my porch. No more angry calls, no more hateful messages, no more pressure from relatives, just freedom, complete and unadulterated freedom. I have not yet gotten the court-awarded compensation, but Aubrey is still within her 60-day payment deadline. If she doesn't pay by the deadline, I will proceed with asset seizure. Logan has already completed the required legal filings. Following the trial, Logan requested a restraining order, which the court granted. They are now legally barred from coming within 500 feet of me. No calls, messages, or emails. This order is valid for 3 years. Any breach could result in immediate arrest. Holding that court order in my hands, printed in red with full authority, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders that I had been carrying for years. And I knew I'd made the right decision to keep my financial life private all along. If I had told them how much money I had from the start, perhaps they would have treated me differently, but I wouldn't have seen their true colors. I never knew their affection was conditional. Now I do. Now I can plainly see who supports me, my restaurant and resort workers, my true friends, and the loyal customers who have continued to believe in me. They are the people I consider true family. I am not telling this story to brag about my success. I'm sharing it to leave you with an important message. Don't tell someone what you have too soon. If you can live honestly, you'll know who's genuine and who isn't. Money may influence the way people look at you. However, it will never change who they are underneath. Here's where my story finishes. I've never regretted the decisions I made. Every action and decision was vital. It was okay. People I've told this tale too often fall into 2 categories. One argues I did the right thing by protecting myself. The other claims I went too far and was rude to my family. What are your thoughts? Was I correct to proceed with the lawsuit? Share your opinions in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, please remember to subscribe, like, and share it. Someone out there may need to hear this. Thank you for being here. See you in the following story.